welcome to TalkFCB and welcome back here to the channel, guys. It is the day before Barcelona's final game of the season, but before we talk about any of that, that's going to be coming up there in a video a bit later on. What I thought I'd do here is answer some of your questions, because I feel as though there's a few things, a few pressing topics that we've got to discuss, we've got to get out in the open and ultimately have some conversation. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about Barcelona's style of play, we're going to be talking about VAR, but we're also going to be looking ahead to the Champions League. Does this team have any hope against Napoli? Does this team have any hope there looking toward the end of this season? Can we get something positive out of this team? And of course we are going to be discussing Quique Setién, his future, and whether he can still turn it around. It's all coming up in today's video. Let's get to it. But I want to start first of all with what I think is an absolutely fantastic question, and it is actually a question that I do get quite frequently, and it is a very, very interesting one. Because the question is, why isn't Real Madrid being slammed for defensive football to winning the league, whilst Barcelona was slammed for defensive football under Valverde, whilst he was also winning the league? And it's basically a question there as to why are Real Madrid treated differently, either by the media, also by fans, with regard to the style of football. And it's a good point, because you're absolutely right. Real Madrid's title win this time around, it's been based here on consistency and ultimately based upon a very, very strong defensive structure. They've ground out wins, they've had very, very narrow victories throughout the season, they've scored a lot less frequently to what we're used to from Real Madrid, and to be fair, they're not all that pleasing on the eye. They don't play all that entertaining football for the players they do have, which when you put it like that, it doesn't make their title too dissimilar to what we saw under Ernesto Valverde at Barcelona, whereby at times, like I say, it's not that great to watch. I wouldn't say that Real Madrid and Barcelona under Valverde were all that entertaining, but at the end of the day, they did, to be fair, get the job done. So, why are they treated differently? Why do Real Madrid fans adore Zidane? Why are they so happy with this title win? Yet with Barcelona under Valverde, we weren't too happy. We weren't satisfied with what we're seeing. And to be honest, that's the way that it's always been. Between Barcelona and Real Madrid, there are different standards entirely. There are different traditions between the two clubs. And I wouldn't ever want that to change. And it's ultimately something we've seen for a long, long time, which is also why Valverde couldn't remain in charge of Barcelona, because Real Madrid have always been a team for me who focused on winning, whatever it takes, however you want to do it, just win, get the results, get the trophies. And to be fair, they are an incredibly successful team, both domestically and of course we all know about their success in Europe. Whereas at Barcelona, over the last 10, 20, 30 years, we've wanted to do it differently. We've wanted to go one step further. We want to do more than just win. Messi club used to mean something. It used to be the foundation upon what we built our club from, and we used to be a team who won differently. Not just win, not just get the results, not just get the trophies, but do it in a different manner. And that's why what you may see at Real Madrid, the way that they play, the way that they win, that wouldn't succeed in the long term at Barcelona. It's two very, very different clubs. You cannot judge them off the same standards. But like I said before, I wouldn't change that for the world. And it's what makes Barca truly Barca. We move on though to another subject here that is also closely linked to Real Madrid and their title success, and it's a question here that comes from Peter Griffin, clearly a big fan there. The Family Guy star is clearly watching the channel. Would you rather VAR stays or VAR goes? And I think this here is a good question, and again, it's something we have to discuss, because it is very much divided among people. Some people love it, some people hate it, because on one hand, you can see the benefits of having VAR. There's been offside decisions, handball decisions, penalties, red card calls that have actually been given correctly because of the influence of VAR that would never have been given correctly without the technology. But for me, the glaring problem is the consistency of those using it, because more specifically, the La Liga referees who are prone to mistakes out on the field. We know that in Spain, the standard of refereeing, it's not great. So when you put them there from the field into the VAR room, nothing's going to change. They are still going to make glaring errors, and it's frustrating, because in situations like this, whereby you look there at the title race, one decision may not be given in Barcelona's favour. It may not be referred to VAR, but then just a day later, when you look at Real Madrid, suddenly it's a different situation. Suddenly, that decision is given in their favour. And that's what I mean. Where is the consistency in the decisions from those there in the VAR room and the referees there who are consulting with the technology? Because now we have this tech. Now we have the assistance. We should be getting more consistent decisions, but we're not. And we're seeing mistakes time and time again. And obviously, you've got to give the technology here time to perfect it. And I think as time goes on, hopefully, we will get more accuracy in the decisions. But it seems like right now, still, you have people, and by people, I mean idiots, who are running the technology. And that, for me, that's still going to bring errors. But if we do now move on to the Champions League, and if we do move on here to some, perhaps, a glimmer of hope, something here that we can cling on to and look forward to in the weeks to come. And a question here, how would you motivate the players to put more focus and more intensity into the Champions League? And I just want to say this, if you as a player need motivating for the knockout stages of the Champions League, the biggest tournament on club level, if you need motivating, why are you bothering? Why are you even playing football? Why are you at this club? Because if these games alone don't motivate you, if you yourself can't get yourself up for these kind of occasions, why are you doing it? What is the point? You shouldn't need a coach to get you motivated for these games. You shouldn't need somebody to tap on your shoulder and say, come on now, we've got to really give it everything. These are the Champions League knockout games. These are the biggest games in your career. Go out there and do it. Go out there and give everything. And that's honestly why that when we went out against Liverpool, when we went out there against Roma, of course there was huge blame on Valverde, but even at the time, I said, look, the players, they've still got to do more, because the coach can only take you so far. You have a minimum required standard there of hard work in these kind of games to go out there and actually try. This is the Champions League, the biggest club tournament. If you're not going out there and giving everything you have, leaving nothing left in the tank, like I say, something is very, very wrong for you as a player. And this is why, for me, I think we can have a little bit of hope. Just a little bit of hope. I don't want to get too overboard. I don't want to give us here some real false optimism. But I do believe in the Champions League, things will be different. I think we will see a different mentality from the group. And that's why here we move on to the questions about how the team may look a little bit different in these coming weeks. Because I think exactly what I've said there about finding that motivation is why we will see a slightly different approach from Barcelona, and in particular from the players. Because like I just said, you shouldn't need the motivation to come from the coach in these kind of games. So whether Setien is still in charge, whether he's still leading the club against Napoli, or whether he's not, it doesn't make any difference. Whoever is on that bench, whichever coach is leading this team, the players should be ready. They should be demanding of themselves the very, very highest standard going into what is here a massive game. Against Napoli, that's the biggest game of their season. For many of the players, it could turn out to be a make or break game. This could be some of the last games they play for Barcelona in the Champions League, and that's why you'd expect to see some genuine intensity. You should expect to see a definite raise in the performance levels, and that's why in the Champions League, like I say, I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves, but we should see at least more effort from this team. Finally though guys, I do want to finish here on yet again another fantastic question, because it's all surrounding Quique Setién's first game and basically what has followed from that moment. Do you think Setien had the freedom to make changes to the dressing room, or is Bartomeu controlling that too? I'm asking this because we saw Setien try to implement new systems when he came to the club, which were abandoned rather abruptly, I feel. And like I say, brilliant question, because you think back there to Quique Setién's first game against Granada, which for me was a huge breath of fresh air. He'd only been there a matter of days, he hadn't had all that long to make any changes, but already there was change. There was a fresh optimism in the team, there was energy, there was movement, there was crisp passing, there were triangles, more control, more poise. Yes, we took our time to break Granada down, but when we did, it was patient, controlled, exciting football, and it just seems as though from that Granada game, game. Every game from that moment, we've been going further and further and further away from what Setien was trying to bring to the club. And it's interesting. I don't know why we've deviated away from that. I don't know why he has deviated away from that. And you just wonder what's gone on behind the scenes. Because now we're looking at this team, and I don't see Setien's imprint on it whatsoever. I don't really see any game plan at all. I don't see a philosophy in this team. We look like a team here who are stuck between different styles. They're not really sure which avenue they're going down. And it's just interesting here to think about, is this really what Setien wants? Or are the players going out there and doing something that they'd like to see at board level? Are they trying to interfere there in team selections? Are they trying to interfere there in how the team plays? And you just wonder, the player power, the dressing room, Quique Setién, you've got to be bold, you've got to be brave, you've got to try and stamp your authority on that team. But since that Granada game, like I say, we've just seemed to go further and further away from that style, those fundamentals that he wanted to bring. And that, for me, it's a massive shame. So that there, guys, is some of the questions that I really did want to go a little bit further into. Thank you for all of those who did leave me questions. And of course, over the next few weeks, we've got a break after tomorrow's game from football. And for sure, we're going to be looking into your questions in a lot more detail, talking a lot more about what we can expect ahead of the Champions League. Later on today, like I say, we will be talking about Quique Setién's words. We will be talking ahead of our game against Alaves, the final game of the season. I will see you then. Thanks as always for watching and for getting involved. But until next time, as always, Visca el Barça.